Hello everyone, and welcome to my top 10 list of Paladins Talents that should return. Talents should be an option to empower a unique playstyle within your champion. Whether it's making a certain ability stronger, giving it a new effect, or completely changing your character's main playstyle. Talents are the single best aspect in Paladins, especially when compared to other FPS games. That being said, some talents have been unjustly removed and deserve to return. Whether they were removed from all the way back with the release of Amani, or very recently with the Grohk rework, these talents left a significant enough impact where players still talk about them to this day. For all the removed talents to return, I will suggest a current talent that I think should be replaced. Let's get into it. Number 10. Zhin's Retaliation. After countering an attack, you remain in your counter stance and counterattack deals 10% more damage. Okay, so the reason this talent is so low on the list is because it's the only talent that I've never played with. I've only seen it in action through my friend Alex on some of our old Paladins videos. He always talks about bringing this talent back, so I thought I would entertain the idea in this video. The way this worked was instead of counter being used to deflect only one attack, the stance would stay up for its full 1.5 second duration regardless, and keep countering incoming attacks in that time limit. Watching this talent in action was so funny. Retaliation was the bane of Victor mains everywhere. If you kept shooting, Zhin kept countering. For this talent to return in a balanced state, I think the projectile attack from the counter should be removed. I also think the damage should be lowered a little bit as well. Maybe to something like 500 or 550. Now, using Retaliation would give you the potential for infinite counters in the 1.5 seconds, but they would all be lower damage melee strikes. The talent I think Retaliation should replace is Yomi. With the piercing projectile effect being taken from Yomi and put into Zhin's base kit recently, I haven't seen the talent played much. Besides, it's a pretty boring talent, only adding some extra damage on your last slash. Number 9. Ying's Lifelike. Illusions can now target 2 allies when healing, but illusions heal for 20% less. Ying is a weird champion community-wise. You get players saying she's too strong of a healer because of life exchange, and then you get folks saying she's too weak when you use other talents. I don't think Ying is as underpowered as some make her out to be. However, I do think Lifelike should return as a fun healing talent for spreading heals evenly across the team. The reason this is kind of low on the list is because some could argue that life exchange already does that, and probably better than this talent. That's why for Lifelike, I propose that the reduced healing be changed from a 20% reduction to a 10% reduction. Previously, Ying illusions at base healed for 420. With the 20% reduction taking off 84 healing, a Lifelike illusion would only heal for 336. Now Ying illusions heal for 400 at base. A 10% reduction taking off 40 would make a Lifelike illusion heal for 360. Ying's using this talent would have to prioritize good illusion placement to ensure the most out of their lower heals. The talent I opt for Lifelike to replace is Resonance, but not entirely. Crazy as it sounds, I actually think Resonance could become a loadout card. Replacing the current Harmony card, I think as a loadout card, Resonance could have the shatter damage lowered to 400 when destroyed by an enemy, and also feature an in-card cooldown, starting at 16 seconds and scaling down by 3 seconds per level. At level 5, the card will only have a 1 second internal cooldown. A lot of people are already protesting for the removal of Resonance, but there's also a good chunk of Ying players who love the talent. What I'm opting for here is the best of both worlds. Let me know, Ying players, would Resonance on a loadout card be too OP, even with lowered stats? Number 8. Jenos' Celestial Touch. When you cast Astral Mark on an ally, they are immediately healed for 10% of their maximum health. This talent used to exist before Jenos healed for a flat 300 on Astral Mark. Before, you used to pick this talent if you wanted the extra healing from Jenos, because Astral Mark would only heal for 220 a second back then. Now, I actually think the talent would be super interesting to return in its original form on top of the current 300 heal. Astral Mark already has a hefty base cooldown of 7 seconds, going down to 5 seconds with loadout cards. Other healers can output way more healing than Jenos on shorter cooldowns. That being said, I can see the terror of a Wrong being healed for 700 health across the map. The main reason I bring up this talent is because of community unrest about Jenos. Currently, Jenos is a Luminary bot, and his whole kit feels mediocre because of that. With the Season 3 launch, Jenos' healing got lowered to a measly 180 heals a second. Right now, running Jenos for heals is a joke. You're not going to get any. You only run him for the 15% damage boost to combo with some other champions. As for Celestial Touch, if it were to return, I think Luminary would have to go. This would have to be on top of some major rebalancing for Jenos. Number 7. Grover's Efflorescence. Increase the passive healing of Blossom by 100% and its radius by 50%. Grover's passive healing is not the best. It's only a very small 80 heals a second. With Efflorescence, that healing became 160 per second. Still fairly weak compared to other heals in the game, but keep in mind that this was a passive heal. For this talent to return in a balanced state, I think the bonus radius should be removed since that was added into Grover's base kit a while ago. The bonus heal also might have to be lowered to something like a 50% bonus instead. This is because of Cauteriz's weaker state and all the nerfs the Rampant Blooming talent got because of how strong it was in the past. Honestly, not much to say with this one. It would just be more passive healing for Grover, which would allow him to better keep his team up without activating his Blossom cooldown. For Efflorescence to return, I believe Rampant Blooming should go. Having 2 healing talents on the same ability would be pretty redundant. Number 6. Drogoz' Reign of Terror. Salvo now activates instantly, always fires 6 shots, and has its cooldown reduced by 5 seconds. This is another talent I don't have much experience with, but I'll try and make a valid argument for its return anyways. Drogoz' Salvo is kind of bad. I would argue one of the worst abilities type bad. A 20-second cooldown with a lengthy start animation that results in lower damage on individual rockets with weapon inaccuracy. Not to mention the ability eats up all your ammo, so you're forced to reload afterwards. Reign of Terror alleviated a few of these issues. The cooldown reduction for one brought the cooldown of Salvo to 15 seconds, which is much better than its current 20. With Salvo always firing 6 shots, you were never screwed out of a good Salvo because of a lower ammo count. This made Salvo an excellent option when on 1 ammo, as you will retain a higher DPS with the 6 Salvo rockets. Oh, and the annoying loading animation is skipped entirely. For this talent to return, I opt for the removal of Combustible. I feel like I never see that talent played unless it's in the Battle Pass as a quest. Number 5. Furia's Celerity. Wings of Wrath gain an additional charge. A very simple talent here. This talent gave Furia some much needed survivability. Combined with some healing cards on Wings of Wrath, and she became a tough cookie to take down. This is actually the only talent on the list that I can see valid reasons for its removal. On release, Furia's Wrath did not decay as fast as it does now. This combined with a near non-existent damage falloff meant the Furia was constantly hitting full damage shots from across the map and double dashing away from anyone who got close. Now it's a bit different. Furia recently received a very heavy nerf to her Wrath decay. Basically, if she stops healing for even a few seconds, it will all be gone. This comboed with her weak self-sustain cards mean that Furia is very easy to take out if flanked. Re-adding Celerity would be a fix for those solo Furias who don't trust their team to save them. Now this was a tough choice, but I think the talent that should go to make room for Celerity would have to be either Solar Blessing or Cherish. Cherish is kind of boring, and Solar Blessing can be frustrating to play with. Number 4. Grohk's Old Totemic Ward. Increase the healing done by Healing Totem by 30%, and allies healed by Healing Totem gain immunity to crowd control for 2 seconds. This is the most recent talent to have been removed from the game. With Grohk's rework, he gained access to 2 totems at base. That's probably why this talent has gone. However, I think the removal of this talent was unjustified. While underpicked, a Grohk who knew how to use Totemic Ward was super scary to face. Enemy Maldamba spamming reload? Totem. BK about to land a huge stun? I think not. Overwatch players trying out Paladins for the first time? Hell no! The CC immunity sounds ridiculously overpowered on paper, but in concept it was very well balanced. This is because of the totem's limited range. Allies had to be close together, and the totem had to stay alive to provide the effect. For the talent to return, I actually think it should look like this. Lose 1 charge of Healing Totem. Increase the healing done by Healing Totem by 40%, and allies healed by Healing Totem gain immunity to crowd control for 2 seconds. Now, the talent does 2 things. Brings back the Solar Stronger Heals totem that some players have been missing, while also bringing back the CC immunity. 40% increased healing on the totem returns its healing back to 420 a second, which is what it was before Grohk's mini rework. I opted for only 1 totem, because having 2 CC immunity stations would be overkill. The totem also has a lower cooldown, being 10 seconds, whereas previously it was 15 seconds. Who knows, the talent might actually need to increase the cooldown of totem as well to be balanced. Okay, for the replacement talent, I think the current Totemic ward can go. We already have a heal-based talent with Spirit's Domain, and I'm opting to get rid of the weaker link of Grohk's 2 healing-based talents. Number 3, Barik's Hair Trigger. Blunderbuss fires 30% faster. Barik is actually one of the few front lines that I think is doing fairly well right now. However, I think that's because of his strong base kit and his loadout cards. Not so much with his talents. In my eyes, Barik only has 1 viable talent, being Fortify. So why not return another fun and impactful talent? Easily the simplest talent on this list. Hair Trigger makes Barik's weapon fire 30% faster, going from 1 shot every second to 1 shot every 0.7 seconds. This is one of the few talents I actually have footage of, and let me tell you, holy moly does that gun fire faster! Being perfectly honest, the biggest reason this talent is here is because it was my personal favorite for Barik. Barik's with this talent would embrace a more selfish damage playstyle, with less emphasis on holding the point with Fortify, for example. While a Barik player will have the opportunity to deal more damage with this talent, there is the potential of missing more shots due to the faster fire rate. I don't think Barik is in a bad spot right now, however I would like to see some more talent variety for him. For a talent to replace, I hate Architectonics, so let's ditch it as a talent and make it a loadout card like it should be. I feel like Combat Repair could be replaced to offer a cooldown reduction for the turrets instead. Number 2, Khan's Firing Line. Champions affected by Battle Shout now also deal 20% increased damage and gain CC immunity for 4 seconds. Khan has been hit with some heavy talent nerfs lately. A few patches ago, he lost the 10 bonus ammo from Storm of Bullets, and just recently he lost 0.8 seconds off his stun via the Vortex Grip talent. Now, Khan doesn't really have any strong talents, just 2 mediocre ones and a joke talent. Back in the day, Firing Line was Khan's best talent. Believe it or not, it was the preferred talent over Storm of Bullets and Vortex Grip, even in their stronger states. Now, for this talent to return, I think the CC immunity should go. Giving a 20% damage boost is enough of a benefit already. Playing with this talent would encourage Khan players to stay grouped with their team for max value out of their damage boost. For those who are worried about the potential of 5 damage boosted players running at you, please remember that Battle Shout has a short range of only 50 units. Many times, a Khan player will end up not hitting the shout on their teammates. Firing Line did have a tendency of being inconsistent, due to the limited range of the shout. Anyways, I've already said this in my top 10 most useless talents video, but Leon's shield is a joke, and nobody would miss it. So I opt for Firing Line to replace it. And the number 1 talent I think should return to Paladins is Maldamba's Wekono's Curse. Mending Spirits can now be used on enemies to deal 560 damage over 2 seconds. This one talent is the whole reason I made this list to begin with. Talk about doing everything right with a single talent. Empowering a certain ability on a character? Check. Giving it a new effect? Check. Completely changing a character's main playstyle? Check. Playing Wekono's Curse Maldamba meant you had to become a master of comboing your abilities on enemies, and multitasking to make sure your team still gets healed. Whereas a heal-based Maldamba prefers to stay in the safety of the backline, a Wekono's Curse Damba would be looking to take flank angles against unsuspecting targets. The ideal combo was to land the Mending Spirits on your enemy, throw your gourd, hit your stun so the target stays in the gourd, and then whittle them down with your primary. Throw in some cooldown reduction cards and you could really get a fun chain going. Wekono's Curse was a super fun talent, So it would make sense that since it was removed, we would have gotten a super cool and unique talent to be up to par with it, right? We got Ripened Gourd. For Wekono's curse to come back, I without a doubt support the removal of Ripened Gourd. Going off topic for a bit, but Maldamba is regarded as the pinnacle of a high skill support in Paladins. All his abilities require timing and decent aim to get value out of. Now, in comes Ripened Gourd and it's completely brain dead. Any old Paladins player can pick Ripened Gourd and get insane healing with it. Previously, if you wanted increased healing on Maldamba, you would take Spirits Chosen to get the bonus heal on Mending Spirits. Now, why should I bother taking Spirits Chosen and have to aim my heals at only one target, when I could just carelessly throw my gourd near my tanks for massive healing output? Ugh. The removal of Wekono's curse still gets me annoyed to this day. Other talents were removed when all characters had to lose a talent for balance, or through a rework like Grohk. Wekono's curse was removed for no reason other than to give Maldamba a dumb, brain-dead, and frankly, boring talent. Well, that's my list of the top 10 talents I think should return to Paladins. Do you agree with any of them? Let me know down below. Videos like these take a lot more effort to make, so I would really appreciate it if you clap that like button and laser down that subscribe button. Don't forget to snatch that bell so you can stay tuned on future content from my channel. As always, I'm YellowNinja, and peace. Now, this was a tough choice, but I think the talent that should go to make room for Celerity would have to be either Solar Blessing... God, I can't... Now, this was a tough choice, but I think the talent that should go to make room for Celery would have to...